Good evening. My name is Taylor. So today I'll be talking with you about my crisis intervention project. The crisis I chose to talk about with you today is the issue of child sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is a form of maltreatment that involves sexual activities with a minor. I know that it says that involves sexual activities with a minor, but sexual abuse can also include things that's not physical. Um, so this means that, inappropriate conversations, phone calls, text messages, or digital communication with a minor. So it means anyone under the age of 18 is considered child sexual abuse, because they can't give consent. So the sexual abuse, the physical part of that would be inappropriate touching or fondling, engaging in sexual intercourse, masturbating in the presence of a minor, forcing a minor to masturbate, and any sexual activity with a minor, including vaginal, oral, or anal sex, participating in a child sex trafficking, and any other sexual contact involving a minor. So that's kind of the crisis. That kind of explains a little bit of what child sexual abuse is. Now let's kind of talk about why it might be a crisis, or why it is a crisis. Child sexual abuse is indeed a deeply troubling issue that can cause significant and long-lasting harm to individuals in a society at large. It is viewed as a crisis because it has negative and wide-ranging effects on an individual and the society or the community in which the individual lives in. Their abuse frequently leads to intense emotional and psychological distress, resulting in conditions such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic distress, or PTSD. It can cause physical damage and long-term health issues. This includes sexual transmitted diseases or sexual transmitted infections like chlamydia, HIV, all that kinds of stuff. Victims might also display abnormal behavior such as substance abuse, self harm. Individuals might also struggle with establishing relationships. The abuse can disrupt a child's normal growth, affecting their learning capabilities as well as social interactions. The sad part about child sexual abuse is majority of the time awareness is not brought to this type of crisis until something has happened, which will bring us into what we're going to talk about next. It does have awareness to a certain point, but majority of the time awareness is not brought out until event happens. Whether it's someone in their 20s is talking about something that's happened in their childhood, or a child talking about something that's happened to them. Sometimes awareness is not brought until someone experiences it and speaks out about it. Unfortunately, what we're going to talk about next is kind of what happened with her, this girl's community. They really didn't have that much awareness until she talked about her story. So next, I'm going to talk about Chelsea Cone. Chelsea Cone was 13 years old when she experienced a traumatic event of sexual assault. She was sexually assaulted by someone close to her. She has never reported who the person was, but she was sexually assaulted by someone close to her. She kept this incident close to her. She kept it as a secret. But later, she ended up handing a note to a staff member at a day treatment where she was being treated for anxiety and depression, basically telling them what she experienced. And this is probably why, this right here is why she was experiencing anxiety and depression. Chelsea was overwhelmed with fear, guilt, and shame. And this is one reason why she sought out help at the hospital. She sought help out because she was like, I'm going through all these things. I need someone to help me. Something I'm going through something that I need help with, and I can't do this alone. So she decided, hey, I'm going to try to seek help for this. She is now the age of 19, and she openly discusses her experience. Um, this is considered a crisis because it displays how it impacted her and other lives. Post assault, Chelsea was consumed by fear, guilt, and shame, questioning her credibility. She felt robbed of her innocence and childhood, which significantly impacted her self perception. She underwent years of therapy to manage the trauma, indicating the long term mental health effects such as of this incident. It wasn't until she was 19 that she could openly discuss this experience, highlighting the lasting effects of the trauma on her communication. Chelsea serves as a reminder of why we need people to bring awareness to child sexual abuse, um, because her community really didn't have nothing at the time, or her community had not had no awareness resources and didn't really spread an awareness about child sexual abuse until this incident happened to her. Her community was one of those communities like, okay, that's not what happened to me. We don't have that happening. In reality, it does happen. It happens every day. We just don't physically see it, but it does happen. Um, so that's why we need to bring more awareness to it, because it happens. Whether we see it or whether we don't, it does happen. And unfortunately, majority of the time, we really don't want to bring awareness to it until we have physical proof, so to say. And that's the sad part. Like, her community did not have that good proper awareness at the time, and this unfortunate event happened to her. So now I'm gonna kind of talk about the ABC model to you a little bit, just so you I can explain how the ABC model could help Chelsea going through some stuff. The ABC model is considered a cognitive behavioral method. It is used mostly in psychology as well as human services and counseling. So the A stands for acting event. So the acting event for this crisis is this child sexual abuse. Chelsea was sexually abused. The B stands for your beliefs, or the beliefs about the event. So like we had talked about, her Chelsea's beliefs was that she was not going to be credible. Nobody was going to believe her. So that's where her belief came into effect. And so she obviously told someone about it. And then that's when her beliefs kind of changed. Like, hey, like, I told someone, I can't, like, now maybe somebody will believe me. And then the C of the model, it stands for consequences, which this includes your behavioral or emotional response. So her behavioral emotional response was that, she had blocked out relationships. She started having communication things. She developed anxiety and depression. So that brings me into explain a little bit more. In Chelsea's case, the acting event was a trigger resulting of the abuse, leading to irrational beliefs. For instance, she actually blamed herself for it, causing guilt and isolation. And then the rational part of it was when she rationally going through therapy and getting help, she actually understand that she was a survivor. This led her to start doing more empowerment things to bring awareness and having more self-care. She started getting self-care to help with her anxiety and depression. This model actually would aim to identify and challenge the beliefs that she was believing, or that she wasn't going to be credible. And it actually helped replace her irrational thoughts with rational ones, or healthy response. It doesn't really explain in her article what other things she went through before we know she went through anxiety and depression, but it really doesn't say exactly what were some things that she was doing before she sought out help at the hospital. So that's where there's irrational thoughts should be replaced with rational thoughts, rational, healthier behaviors to help her get through. Hey, I am credible. Even though that no one physically seen this happen to me, I am credible. I do have a voice. This did happen to me, and someone should help me with it. There has been some things that's recently came out within the last within the last decade that helps children kind of speak out about if something's happening to them. There's a study called The Increasing Self-Protection Skills of Children Staying in Women's Shelters with Bodily Safe Training. This explores this enhances children's self-protection skills through body safe training in women's shelters. It basically helps children understand appropriate and inappropriate touching, and teaching them what the word no means. No, I don't believe this. It also teaches them when to speak up, even if the child, even if it might not be seen as child sexual abuse, it does teach a child how to speak up. Hey, something's happening and I'm not sure how to, handle this. There's a lot of things that needs to be done differently. I feel like that there should be some trainings in school where children, that's taught in school. This is this can be something that could be considered child sexual abuse. These are some signs and symptoms, and these are some things that you can do to help someone help yourself as well. But with time, more awareness will come. That's why we learn about things, so that we can learn about new awareness ways to bring awareness to communities. As a society, we need to come together as a whole and realize that even if we don't see these things happening, they do happen, and we need to bring awareness to it. So this is kind of like my little this is my little feedback on child sexual abuse and why it's a crisis. I hope this kind of will help you. Thank you.